everybody, it's Kate from KatyDid, and it's time for Rock Road Trip! So many beautiful rocks. Good morning. I just thought I would show you a little bit of where we are right now. We traveled to Crystal Lake and we got here just before sundown, so we have only seen the cabin. But we are in a National Forest Service cabin that is right here next to the campground, and the campground is currently closed. And so we had to log in online and get the password and so forth. And I'm really looking forward to the day. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's still pretty early morning, but we have no Wi-Fi, so there's no internet, and we have no books, which was poor planning. So we're walking down to the lake. We're gonna see what we can find. Ooh, we're getting close to the lake. Where's the lake? This is supposed to be the lake, but there's no water. Lucky for me, there's still rocks. We're examining the rocks here, trying to figure out how in the world a lake can disappear. But it looks like it's disappeared a little while ago. So, like longer ago than this summer. So it must have been gone for a while. And we'll do some research and try to figure out what the heck happened. There's a shell. There was a lake here. Our goal here today is to find some marine fossils that are supposed to be lining the shores of the lake. As we've seen, the lake is kaput, but I'm hoping that the marine fossils can still be found. I find this one kind of interesting. Like, maybe there's some fossils there? I'm sure I'll recognize it when I see it, right? Now that's interesting. That's not a marine fossil. That is a piece of jasper. I didn't know they had that in this area. Really? I once again find myself in a situation where I really have no idea what I'm looking for. I did try to kind of educate myself a little bit last night looking at the limestone around the outhouse, and did see some shell fossils and clam fossils and things in those. So I know that they're there, but I'm just not sure, kind of what signs to look for. So I'm gonna take some of these, like this is an interesting looking nodule. We're gonna take it back to the cabin and break it open, see if there's anything in it. Meanwhile, I think we're going to look for a place that has limestone that is not quite so covered with this black stuff, which is the remains of, when the lake was here. So going to take this back to the cabin because I'm told that crinoids exist here. Crinoids were like, they looked like plants, but they were actually coral type animals. And this looks like it might be a crinoid stem in this rock. So I'm going to take that one back too, and we'll see what we can do with it. Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this. This is some kind of shell fossil. And so we will take this back and use the rock hammer to try to winkle it out of there. There's a whole bunch of shells in this one. We're going to see if we can break it open and see what we can find. I recommend bringing goggles for this because the little bits and pieces fly everywhere. It looks like maybe some oyster shells, some kind of snaily stuff. Nothing that's going to be salvageable though. I think we can just leave it. So limestone is basically all shells, and so sometimes the bigger shells get preserved and sometimes they're all squished up. And so it's not at all uncommon to find shells in there. I'm just trying to figure out how to find shells that we can actually keep. Well, we have been walking around the loop trail, the lake loop, and it's about 1 3/4 miles, the whole loop is, and we've discovered that there is in fact a little bit of water left in the poor little lake. Not very much, but a little bit. On the shore, however, I think that this little guy is the end of a crinoid stem. Crinoids were these little animals that looked sort of like plants, and they were on these long stems. Very cool stuff. So I'm just walking up on this field of rocks, and I had this strong smell of mint. And so I took these, just rubbed them in my fingers, and they smell just like peppermint. Got a clam impression here, and it's actually filled with little tiny crystals. And there are many, many, many clam impressions on this little piece. It's small, but they're there. It's difficult to see in this bright sunshine, but this little slab has all kinds of clams just all up and down. And I think once it gets cleaned up, it would be kind of cool looking. It's not something where you can just harvest a specimen and say, okay, I'm done. I think you're going to have to get these clean with a Dremel or something else. This is Promontory Point. I'm sure it was quite beautiful when there was water here. Now, it's just kind of sad. So this little clam shell, and this is actually just a whole bunch of shells all slammed together, has been filled with quartz crystals. Neat. I rockhound because it's glamorous. So there's this big pile of gravel right behind the outhouse, and I am searching to see if I can find some rocks that have some fossils that are apparent and easy to access. These don't have the black muck on them from the lake. We did just find out from the rangers that the lake disappears or it dries up every fall, and we're here in late September. So it is just one of those things that that happens. It's a very shallow lake. They said it's a little bit worse this year than it has been because it's been so dry, but it's not some big mystery. Good to know. This is one I actually broke last night that is just filled with clams. And I didn't realize what a good one it was because I hadn't really looked around. But I'm going to take it back and I'm going to take it home. This is kind of an interesting one. Up here it looks like jasper, and it looks like it's all, if it were all broken in random places, I would call it brecciated, but it's kind of cemented together in layers, and I'm just very curious to know what is inside of it. I think it might be really pretty slabbed, so I'm going to take this home and cut it open. And then I also found this, which again it looks like it could be jasper, although it's awfully, I think it's too soft, but it's the same kind of colors, yellow and red. And I'm going to see what this is as well. Well, we're back up on the road. I wanted to look at some of these road cuts, and this is a very, very weird thing. There are these snail shells embedded in the limestone here. Not embedded, just showing up with it. And this is quite a ways above where the lake was. So what the heck? Are these land snails? Are they snails that somehow didn't get fossilized, that just fell out of the limestone? Are they aliens from another planet? It's just kind of mysterious. I'm picking up a bunch of them because I have a bunch of other little shells from the lake, and I'm going to put them in a jar, and I just think they're pretty. So anyway, I'm thinking maybe they're land snails of some kind that dried up. Anybody knows? Leave a comment. Thanks. Here's some little brachiopods, I guess they're called, these little clams. That's a nice slice there. I'm going to take that back and clean it up. So all along the road here, on the way up to Crystal Lake, there are road cuts that are just filled with limestone. Just all the way up to the top. So I'm going to take advantage of that and see if I can find some more cool stuff. Now this is interesting. The question is it actually fossils? And if so, what are they? And the other alternative could be that it's like some weird concretion. Again, anybody who has seen this kind of thing before and knows, please let me know in the comments. Okay, now this is the coolest thing I've found so far. It is probably like a seaweed fossil. Unfortunately, it's on this gigantic rock. Oh no. Hopefully we can break that apart. That is really, really cool. Now this is a cool thing. This is a sheet that's as big as like an 11 by 14 piece of paper. It's fairly thin. It has this really cool clam in it. It's got a clam impression here. And then these other things that might be worm tracks, something in the sandstone, and then a couple other fossils over here. This is a really nice plate. And it looks like back doesn't have as much. Huh. Very cool. So, reviewing some of Jim's drone footage, I discovered that there was this little quarry back behind the cabin. And so I'm coming over here to escape from the wind and to look for rocks. Just a word of warning, the area with the cabin and the and this stuff behind it, ooh, I think that's part of a crinoid, is private. And So if you are not renting the cabin, do not come wandering up here trying to rock hound this quarry, because you will be trespassing, and we know that's not a good thing to do. Of course, you could just go ahead and rent the cabin, and then it's all yours. This looks like a piece of jasper with crystals in it. Might not be jasper. It doesn't feel quite glassy enough. This I just picked up, and it's just a mixture of different shells. In Florida, they would call this stuff coquina, and I think it's really, really cool. This is a bigger chunk that I probably won't bring home because it is a bigger chunk. But these two are a nice little reward for a day well done. Hi, it's me again. I just wanted to talk to you for just a second before we sign off. I started this morning not having a clue about finding fossils in this area, and I started out kind of rocky. Oh, see what I did there? Anyway, I mean, it was pretty rough. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know what I should be looking for. I just kept looking, and eventually I found some kind of minuscule fossils, and I went to different spots and I tried different things, and eventually I ended up finding some really, really nice fossils. As the day progressed, my eye got better. My eye got trained to see what I could find and to know what I was looking for. And I think that applies no matter what rocks you're looking for. You can't just go out and have, you know, massive success without a little bit of practice. It's just like any other hobby or sport. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. I've had a lovely time up here in the mountains. This is Kate from KatyDid. Keep on doing.